Welcome to English Avenue YouTube, the channel to learn English the easy way. Let's start. In a quiet, picturesque village nestled among towering mountains and sprawling meadows, there lived a young boy named Thomas. His laughter was like a melody that filled the air, and his bright, curious eyes reflected an innocent joy that made him stand out among the other children. He carried himself with an infectious enthusiasm, always finding ways to bring smiles to those around him. However, beneath this cheerful exterior lay a weight he could not ignore, an invisible burden that clouded his days and made his nights restless. Thomas lived with his parents in a simple, weathered cottage at the edge of the village. Though their home lacked luxury, it was filled with warmth and love. His father, Mr. Thompson, spent endless hours working in his small woodworking shop, crafting furniture and repairing broken pieces, trying his best to earn enough to provide for the family. Meanwhile, his mother, Mrs. Thompson, tirelessly sewed garments, stitching fabric together with precision and care in hopes of making a little extra money. Despite their relentless dedication, financial struggles loomed over them like an unshakable shadow. No matter how hard they worked, their earnings barely stretched far enough to cover the most basic necessities: food on the table, clothes to wear, and a roof over their heads. Every morning, Thomas awoke to the hushed voices of his parents, their whispered conversations filled with concerns about overdue bills, the dwindling supply of food, and the uncertain days ahead. Though they tried to keep their worries from him, he could feel the weight of their struggles pressing down on the household. These thoughts lingered in his mind as he made his way to school, a constant reminder that life at home was anything but easy. At school, however, Thomas wasn't the only one carrying invisible burdens. He often noticed Pedro, a quiet boy with thick glasses and an unsteady gait, walking alone. His timid nature and physical awkwardness made him an easy target for bullies, who took every opportunity to tease and mock him. One day, as Thomas observed the dejection in Pedro's eyes and the way his shoulders slumped under the weight of endless ridicule, something stirred within him. He couldn't simply stand by and watch. Summoning his courage, Thomas stepped in, confronting the bullies and firmly telling them to leave Pedro alone. But he didn't stop there. He made a promise to walk with Pedro to school every morning, ensuring he was never alone again. Pedro, overwhelmed by the unexpected kindness, managed a grateful smile through his tears and accepted the offer. As they continued their daily walks, Pedro slowly opened up. He confided in Thomas about his struggles, how he had difficulty seeing the blackboard, which made learning harder for him, and how the constant teasing from classmates made him dread coming to school. Thomas listened attentively, his heart growing heavy with understanding. In that moment, he realized that, just like him, everyone had their own battles to fight, even if they weren't always visible to the world. At school, Thomas faced his own set of challenges. Though he was a hard-working and disciplined student, his mind often wandered away from his lessons, preoccupied with the financial troubles that loomed over his family. No subject frustrated him more than mathematics. No matter how hard he tried, the numbers never seemed to make sense, and his inability to grasp the concepts left him feeling discouraged. Determined to improve, Thomas made the difficult decision to stay after class one afternoon. Gathering his courage, he approached Miss Adams, his teacher, and hesitantly admitted his struggles. He confided in her his fears of falling behind and how the weight of his worries made it difficult for him to focus. Miss Adams, instead of reprimanding him, responded with a warm and reassuring smile. She assured him that seeking help was nothing to be ashamed of and patiently walked him through each problem step by step. With her guidance and his own persistence, Thomas gradually began to understand the subject. Little by little, his confidence grew, and for the first time, he felt hopeful that he could overcome his academic struggles. However, despite his progress in school, The burden of his family's financial situation remained a constant source of anxiety. Things at home were getting worse, and the exhaustion on his parents' faces was becoming more and more evident. They worked tirelessly, pouring every ounce of energy into making ends meet. But no matter how much they tried, it was never enough. One evening, as Thomas lay awake in bed, he overheard his parents talking in hushed voices. He listened intently as they spoke of mounting debts, overdue rent, and the terrifying possibility of losing their home. A wave of helplessness washed over him, and a tight knot formed in his throat. The realization of just how dire their circumstances had become filled him with a profound sense of sorrow. He wanted to do something, anything, to help, but he had no idea how. The fear of an uncertain future settled heavily in his chest, making sleep an impossible luxury. Determined to make a difference, Thomas racked his brain for ways to contribute financially. He refused to stand by idly while his parents bore the weight of their struggles alone. With a newfound sense of purpose, he began seeking out small jobs around the village. He mowed lawns under the scorching sun, scrubbed dishes in the back rooms of local eateries, and ran errands for neighbors who needed an extra hand. Every coin he earned was carefully set aside, meant not for himself but for his family. Yet, no matter how hard he worked, it never seemed to be enough. The debts loomed large, and his parents' exhausted expressions reminded him daily that time was running out. Then one fateful afternoon, as he made his way home from school, something caught his eye, a brightly colored flyer pinned to a wooden post. His heart pounded as he read the bold letters announcing a talent competition, offering a generous cash prize to the winner. It was more than just a contest, it was an opportunity. The reward was substantial, enough to settle his family's debts and provide them with the financial relief they desperately needed. Excitement surged through him like a lightning bolt. Without a second thought, he grabbed the flyer and ran home as fast as his legs could carry him. Bursting through the door, he breathlessly shared the news with his parents, his voice overflowing with hope. At first, they hesitated. The idea of their son placing all his hopes on a single competition worried them. What if he didn't win? They couldn't bear to see another disappointment weigh him down. But Thomas was unwavering. He looked them in the eyes, his determination unshakable, and assured them that he had a plan. He wasn't entering just to try. He was entering to win, and he would give it everything he had. With his parents' approval, Thomas threw himself wholeheartedly into his preparation. Every spare moment was dedicated to his guitar, his fingers tirelessly strumming the strings, refining his technique, and working on every small detail of his performance. He practiced until his fingertips ached, determined to ensure that his song would not just be heard, but felt by everyone in the audience. He knew this was more than just a competition. It was a chance to change his family's fate. Finally, the long-awaited day arrived. The village hall was packed to the brim, buzzing with anticipation. People of all ages had gathered to witness the event, their murmurs filling the air as they eagerly awaited each contestant. Thomas stood backstage, his heart hammering in his chest. Taking a deep breath, he steadied himself before stepping onto the stage. The bright lights momentarily blinded him, and a hush fell over the crowd as he positioned himself in front of the microphone. He wrapped his fingers around the neck of his guitar and began to play. The moment the first notes resonated through the hall, a transformation occurred. All the nervousness that had gripped him melted away, replaced by raw emotion. He let the music carry him, pouring his soul into every chord, every lyric. His voice trembled with feeling, and the melody spoke of struggles, resilience, and hope. As he sang, the audience sat frozen in silence, completely captivated. It was as if time had paused, and for those few minutes, nothing else in the world existed but the music. When the final note faded, there was a moment of stillness. Then, as if a wave had crashed over them, The room erupted into thunderous applause. The sound was deafening, filling every corner of the hall. Cheers and whistles accompanied the claps, and Thomas stood there breathless, his face flushed with both relief and pride. He had given it everything he had, and in that moment, he knew he had made an impact. Although Thomas did not win the grand prize, he walked away with something far more valuable: the unwavering support and admiration of his community. His courage and determination had touched the hearts of those who had witnessed his performance, and they refused to let his efforts go unnoticed. Moved by his resilience, the villagers came together, organizing a fundraising effort to help his family through their difficult times. Donations poured in from neighbors, friends, and even strangers who had been inspired by his story. The generosity of the town exceeded all expectations, providing the Thompsons with the financial relief they so desperately needed. Because of this collective kindness, they were able to pay off their debts, keep their home, and ensure that there was food on the table every night. What had once seemed like an insurmountable struggle was now met with a renewed sense of hope. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Thomas threw his arms around his parents, tears streaming down his face. In that embrace, he understood something profound. While hard work and perseverance were crucial, love and solidarity were just as powerful. No matter how difficult life became, he realized that as long as he had the support of those who cared about him, he would always find a way forward. With this lesson forever etched in his heart, Thomas moved ahead with newfound confidence. He no longer feared the challenges that lay ahead, because he knew that, no matter how steep the road, there would always be a way through. And most importantly, even in the darkest moments, there would always be a reason to smile.